The hidden truths of aging. Have you ever looked around and felt like the people who once cherished you now barely notice your presence? Have you ever wondered why? After decades of dedication to family, friends, and your career, you suddenly feel unappreciated, even invisible. What if I told you that it's not your fault? That the way people treat you as you grow older often has nothing to do with you, but everything to do with their own insecurities, fears, and limitations. Aging is not just about the body changing, it's about relationships changing. The world starts to value you less, even though your wisdom has never been greater. People become jealous of your stability, mistaking your peace for arrogance. Younger generations misinterpret your advice, seeing guidance as criticism. And worst of all, you may find yourself drained by the constant need to please others, despite knowing deep down that it will never be enough. But what if there was another way? What if I told you that freedom in your later years doesn't come from trying to hold on to relationships that no longer serve you, but from learning to let go, embracing your authenticity, and living for yourself? In this video, we'll uncover the 9 hidden reasons why people secretly pull away from you as you age, and how to rise above it. But not just that, I'll share powerful insights from Buddhist wisdom, real-life stories, and a profound mindset shift that will help you transform these challenges into your greatest source of inner peace and strength. So if you've ever felt overlooked, misunderstood, or even resented for simply being yourself, stay with me until the end. Because by the time we're done, you'll have the tools to stop seeking approval, stop feeling guilty, and start embracing the happiness that you truly deserve. And if you're new here, welcome to the Path to Buddhist Wisdom, where we explore the deep truths of life, aging, and spiritual growth. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss our next life-changing discussion. Now, let's begin. 1. Envy and jealousy. When your light exposes others' shadows. Have you ever noticed how some people become cold, distant, or even resentful when you succeed? How friendships and relationships that once felt strong suddenly seem fragile the moment your life takes a turn for the better? If you've worked hard, built a stable life, or found inner peace, some people will admire you, but others will resent you. Not because you've done anything wrong, but because your success reminds them of their own struggles. The truth is, jealousy is not about you. It's about them. Small blue diamond. Why do people resent you? If you've achieved financial stability, someone struggling with debt may feel bitter, even if you earned it through years of sacrifice. If you've built a loving marriage, someone who has experienced divorce or loneliness may see your happiness as a reminder of what they lost. If you radiate confidence and peace, those who battle self-doubt may feel exposed in your presence. And the hardest part, jealousy often comes from the people you least expect: friends, siblings, even your own children. This is the hidden truth of life. People don't envy your possessions, they envy your peace. Open book. A Buddhist story, The Jealous King and the Humble Monk. There was once a powerful king who had everything: wealth, power, and admiration. But despite his riches, he was always restless, anxious, and deeply unhappy. One day, he heard of a humble monk living in the mountains who was said to be the happiest man alive. The king, curious and perhaps envious, visited the monk and asked, What is your secret? Why are you so happy while I, with all my power, feel so empty? The monk simply smiled and replied, because I do not carry the weight of wanting more. The king was furious. Are you saying my wealth is a burden? The monk picked up a small rock and placed it in the king's hand. Hold this tightly. The king clenched the rock in his fist. Now let it go. The king opened his hand, and the rock fell to the ground. This is the difference between us, the monk said. You hold on to things that weigh you down. I let them go. The king understood. His envy of the monk's peace had blinded him to the truth. Happiness is not about having more, it's about needing less. How to deal with envy from others. So what can you do when people envy you for your stability, peace, or wisdom? Have a checkmark 1. Don't dim your light to make others comfortable. Your achievements, whether material or spiritual, are a testament to your journey. You don't need to hide your success to avoid making others uncomfortable. Have a checkmark 2. Show compassion, but don't absorb their pain. Envious people are often struggling with their own inner turmoil. Instead of reacting with frustration, try compassion, but do not take responsibility for their emotions. Have a checkmark 3. Surround yourself with people who celebrate you. Seek out like-minded individuals who are happy for your success, people who see your achievements as inspiration, not competition. Have a checkmark 4. Remember, you are not responsible for their feelings. Just like the monk told the king, let go. You cannot control how others react to your happiness, but you can control whether you allow their resentment to affect you. Final thought, protect your peace. As you grow older, some people will celebrate you. Others will envy you. But remember this. No entresine, you do not have to apologize for your success. No entresine, you do not have to shrink yourself to fit into someone else's insecurities. No entresine, you do not have to feel guilty for being happy. Instead, embrace your journey, honor your growth, and protect your peace. If you've ever experienced jealousy from others, comment peace below and share your thoughts. Let's continue this journey together. And if you're finding these insights valuable, don't forget to subscribe for more wisdom on self-growth, mindfulness, and embracing your true self. Now, let's move to the next reason why people secretly pull away as you grow older. 2. Misunderstandings and ineffective communication, when your words are taken the wrong way. Have you ever tried to offer advice, only to be met with silence, resistance, or even irritation? Have you ever spoken from experience, yet felt like your words were completely misunderstood by younger people? As we grow older, one of the hardest emotional challenges is realizing that our words don't land the way we intend them to. Have a checkmark, you mean well, but they hear criticism. Have a checkmark, you offer wisdom, but they feel attacked. Have a checkmark, you share stories, but they roll their eyes as if your experiences are irrelevant. Why does this happen? It's not because your words have no value, it's because times change. Communication styles evolve, and generational gaps widen. But here's the good news, you don't have to stay stuck in frustration. There are ways to bridge the gap, reconnect, and ensure that your words truly reach others. Open book, a Buddhist story. The old master and the young student. A wise master once had a young student who asked, "Why do people misunderstand each other so often?" The master smiled and said, "Let me show you." He handed the student a small cup of tea and said, "This is wisdom." Then he gave him a large empty bowl and said, "This is the listener's mind." The master poured the tea into the bowl, and the student nodded. It was easy to receive the wisdom. Then, the master switched the cup and bowl. He made the bowl the wisdom and the small cup the listener's mind. This time, when the master tried to pour the tea, most of it spilled over. This is what happens when we speak without understanding the listener's capacity, the master said. Wisdom must be shared at the right time, in the right way, or it will overflow and be lost. Why communication becomes harder as you age. The older we get, the more we see the mistakes and lessons of life clearly. But younger generations have different ways of expressing themselves. And sometimes, what we see as honest advice, they see as judgment. What we see as wisdom, they see as outdated thinking. What we see as concern, they see as control. It's frustrating, isn't it? But here's the truth. Herb, the problem isn't always what you're saying, it's how they're hearing it. Hammer and wrench how to speak so others actually listen. If you've ever felt ignored, dismissed, or misunderstood, try these 4 powerful techniques. Have a checkmark 1. Ask questions instead of giving direct advice. Instead of saying, "You should save money," try, "Have you ever thought about what financial security would feel like?" Instead of saying, "Back in my day, we worked harder," try, "What's the biggest challenge in your career today?" Asking invites a conversation, telling creates resistance. Have a checkmark 2. Focus on storytelling, not lecturing. People connect more with stories than with instructions. Instead of, "You need to respect your elders," try, "I once learned the power of respect the hard way. Let me tell you what happened." A story captures attention. A lecture pushes people away. Have a checkmark 3. Acknowledge their perspective first. Before giving advice, say, "Speech balloon, I understand that things are different now." Speech balloon, I see that you have your own way of handling things. This lowers their defensive walls, making them more open to hearing your wisdom. Have a checkmark 4. Pick the right time to speak. People will not absorb wisdom when they're angry, defensive, or distracted. Clock timing is everything. If they're not ready to listen, wait. Hourglass with flowing sand, patience is more powerful than force. High voltage sign, the biggest shift, choose connection over being right. At the end of the day, what's more important? Electric light bulb, proving your wisdom, or building a strong relationship? Electric light bulb, being right, or being truly heard? True communication is not about words alone, it's about creating a space where understanding can grow. Rock it so next time you feel misunderstood, don't just speak louder, speak wiser. Final thought, your words matter, use them wisely. Have a checkmark, people may not always agree with you, but they will always remember how you made them feel. Have a checkmark, your wisdom has value, but it must be delivered with the same care as the lessons themselves. Have a check mark. Your goal is not to control others, but to inspire them. So next time you feel unheard, don't get frustrated, get mindful. Shift your approach, and you'll find that even the most resistant hearts can open. Have you ever felt misunderstood when giving advice? Comment, listen, below and share your experience. And if you're enjoying these insights, subscribe for more wisdom on life, self-growth, and inner peace. Now, let's move to the next reason why people secretly pull away as you grow older. 3. Differences in values and core beliefs, when your worldview no longer aligns with theirs. Have you ever found yourself in a conversation where your deeply held values and beliefs were completely dismissed by younger people? Have a checkmark. You talk about hard work and discipline, and they call it toxic hustle culture. Have a checkmark. You share your belief in family loyalty, and they say family is chosen, not blood. Have a checkmark. You express faith in tradition, and they insist times have changed, and so should you. The world you grew up in, the one that shaped your character and values, seems to be colliding with the world that younger generations now live in. And this disconnect can lead to arguments, distance, and even resentment. But here's the hard truth. The world is always changing, and so are people's values. And if we don't learn how to navigate these differences, we risk losing the most important relationships in our lives, not because of what we believe, but because of how we respond when those beliefs are challenged. Open book. A Buddhist story, The Old Man and the River. There was once an old man who lived by a river. Every morning, he crossed the river using a wooden bridge that had been there for decades. One day, a young traveler came and said, "This bridge is weak and outdated. We should build a modern steel bridge instead." The old man frowned. "This bridge has served me well my whole life. Why change what already works?" The young traveler shook his head. "The world is evolving. Why hold on to the past?" Both men refused to cross the bridge together. One clung to the past, the other to the future, and in their stubbornness, they both remained stuck. The lesson: rocket clinging too tightly to our own perspective, whether old or new, can stop us from moving forward in life. Why do generational clashes happen? As we grow older, our beliefs become more deeply ingrained. We have seen what works, what fails, and what truly matters. But younger generations are still experimenting, evolving, and questioning everything. This difference can create conflict, because have a checkmark. We believe we have wisdom, but they believe we are outdated. Have a checkmark. We value stability, but they value flexibility and change. Have a checkmark. We see respect as obedience, but they see it as earned. And when we push too hard for them to adopt our values, they pull away instead of listening. Hammer and wrench. How to bridge the gap without losing yourself. So how do we honor our beliefs while still keeping strong relationships? Have a checkmark. 1. Understand that different isn't always wrong. Not every new belief is a rejection of old values. Sometimes it's just an adaptation to a changing world. Example: younger generations value mental health more than pushing through pain. Instead of seeing this as weakness, consider that it might be wisdom in a different form. Have a checkmark. 2. Share stories instead of arguments. Instead of saying, Hard work is the only path to success. Try. Let me tell you about a time I struggled but never gave up, and how it changed my life. A story invites reflection. A lecture creates resistance. Have a checkmark 3. Ask questions to understand their perspective. Instead of saying, "You don't respect tradition." Try. What about today's world makes traditions feel unnecessary to you? When people feel heard, they are more open to listening in return. Have a checkmark 4. Focus on shared values, not just differences. Maybe they don't share your political views, but they still believe in kindness. Maybe they don't agree with your views on success, but they still want happiness and purpose. Instead of debating differences, build on common ground. High voltage sign the biggest shift. Let go of the need to be right. Ask yourself, is proving my point worth losing this relationship? Seedling, you can stand strong in your beliefs without forcing them onto others. Seedling, you can honor your wisdom while still respecting their journey. Seedling, you can let go of judgment and still hold on to your truth. Because at the end of the day, being right is never more important than being connected. Final thought, growth is a two-way street. Have a checkmark. Younger generations can learn from your wisdom, but only if they feel safe to listen. Have a checkmark. You can learn from their perspectives, but only if you allow yourself to be open. Have a checkmark. The world is always evolving, but the values of love, kindness, and integrity remain timeless. So next time you feel frustrated by shifting values, don't react with anger or disappointment, respond with curiosity and patience. Have you ever struggled with generational differences? Comment, bridge, below and share your experience. And if you're finding these insights valuable, subscribe for more wisdom on life, self-growth, and inner peace. Now, let's move to the next reason why people secretly pull away as you grow older. 4. The influence of gossip and rumors. When your reputation becomes a target. Have you ever felt the sting of betrayal when you hear that people you trusted, are talking behind your back? Have a checkmark. Maybe they whisper about your past mistakes, even though you've grown. Have a checkmark. Maybe they spread false stories about your life, twisting the truth. Have a checkmark. Maybe they make assumptions about your wealth, relationships, or choices, judging you without knowing the full story. And the worst part, they never say it to your face. You see, as we age, something strange happens. We become easier targets for gossip. Our lives become stories for others to twist. People judge our decisions, not based on truth, but on their own insecurities and boredom. But here's the truth you need to hear today. Gossip is never about you. It is a reflection of who they are, not who you are. Open book. A Buddhist story, the farmer, the donkey, and the gossipers. One day, an old farmer and his grandson were walking to the market with their donkey. As they walked, a group of people saw them and said, "How foolish! They have a donkey, but neither of them is riding it." Hearing this, the farmer lifted the boy onto the donkey's back and continued walking. A little farther, another group saw them and whispered, "Look at that selfish child, riding while the old man walks." So, the farmer switched places. He got on the donkey, and the boy walked. Soon, more people saw them and scoffed. What a cruel man! That poor child is walking while he rides. So, to please everyone, the farmer lifted the boy onto the donkey with him. Now, others saw this and laughed. That poor donkey! How cruel they are to overload it! Desperate to avoid criticism, the farmer and his grandson carried the donkey on their shoulders. At the market, everyone pointed and laughed. Look at these two fools, carrying a donkey instead of riding it. At that moment, the farmer sighed and said to his grandson, "No matter what you do, people will always talk. If you try to please everyone, you'll end up carrying burdens that were never meant for you." And that, my friends, is the greatest lesson about gossip. Why do people gossip? Gossip is a weapon of the weak. It comes from heavy checkmark insecurity. They tear you down to feel better about themselves. Heavy checkmark boredom. Some people have nothing meaningful in their own lives, so they focus on yours. Heavy checkmark jealousy. They see something in you that they lack. Heavy checkmark herd mentality. People believe what they hear without questioning it. But here's the truth: you cannot control what people say. You can only control how you respond. Hammer and wrench: how to protect yourself from gossip and rumors. Heavy checkmark 1. Let your actions speak louder than words. Instead of trying to fight every rumor, just keep living with honor and integrity. The truth always comes to light. Heavy checkmark 2. Never waste energy defending yourself to those who don't care about the truth. Some people don't want to understand you. They just want to believe what makes them feel superior. Let them talk. Heavy checkmark 3. Surround yourself with people who know your character. You don't need 1,000 friends, just a few people who truly know and respect you. Their belief in you is stronger than any rumor. Heavy checkmark 4. Do not engage in gossip yourself. The best way to rise above gossip: never participate in it. When people bring you gossip, shut it down by saying, "Speech balloon, I prefer not to speak about others when they're not here to defend themselves." Heavy checkmark 5. Remember, silence is power. There is an old saying, a wise man once said nothing. Rocket, let them talk. Let them assume. Let them waste their energy. And while they're busy spreading rumors, you will be busy building a life of peace and wisdom. High voltage sign: the biggest shift: detach from the opinions of others. Ask yourself, are their words worth my peace? Seedling: you do not need their approval. Seedling: you do not need to fight every lie. Seedling: you do not need to waste your energy on meaningless noise. Because at the end of the day, you know who you are, and that is enough. Final thought: protect your peace, not your reputation. Heavy checkmark: your reputation is what people think of you. Your character is who you really are. Heavy checkmark: gossip fades, but integrity lasts forever. Heavy checkmark: let them speak while you live. So next time someone talks behind your back, smile. It means you're ahead. Have you ever been the victim of gossip? Comment, rise above, below, and share your experience. And if you're finding these insights valuable, subscribe for more wisdom on self-growth, mindfulness, and emotional resilience. Now, Let's move to the next reason why people secretly pull away as you grow older. 5. Personal insecurities and projection, when others blame you for their own pain. Have you ever been blamed for things that had nothing to do with you? Have a checkmark. Maybe a friend suddenly turns cold, and you don't know why. Have a checkmark. Maybe a family member lashes out, accusing you of being lucky while they struggle. Have a checkmark. Maybe someone you care about criticizes you, not because you did anything wrong, but because your very existence reminds them of what they lack. It's painful, isn't it? To become the target of someone else's frustration, disappointment, or resentment, when in reality, the problem isn't you, it's them. People often project their insecurities onto those around them. If they feel unsuccessful, they will resent your achievements. If they feel unhealthy, they will criticize your vitality. If they feel lonely, they will judge your happiness. But here's the secret. Seedling, you are not responsible for fixing their pain. Seedling, you do not have to absorb their negativity. Seedling, you do not have to apologize for being at peace. Open book. A Buddhist story, The Angry Man and the Buddha. One day, a man full of anger and bitterness approached the Buddha. He shouted, insulted, and mocked the Buddha, hoping to provoke a reaction. But the Buddha remained calm, smiling gently. Confused, the man asked, "Why don't you react? I am insulting you." The Buddha replied, "If someone offers you a gift and you refuse to take it, to whom does the gift belong?" The man answered, "To the one who offered it." The Buddha nodded. "Then I choose not to accept your anger. It remains yours, not mine." Why do people project their insecurities onto you? When people feel inadequate, unsuccessful, or unhappy, they often have a checkmark, compare themselves to others. Have a checkmark, blame those who remind them of their failures. Have a checkmark, turn their pain outward instead of healing it inward. And if you happen to be nearby, they might make you the target. But here's what you need to remember. Their pain is their responsibility, not yours. Hammer and wrench, how to protect yourself from others' insecurities. Have a checkmark. 1. Do not take their words personally. When someone says, "You think you're better than us," what they really mean is, "I feel insecure around you." When someone says, "You don't understand struggle," what they really mean is, "I am struggling, and I don't know how to cope." Detach from their words. Their feelings are about them, not about you. Have a checkmark. 2. Set boundaries with negative people. Some people will drain your energy if you let them. If someone constantly crossmark belittles your success, crossmark criticizes your happiness, crossmark tries to make you feel guilty for living well, then it's time to step back. You don't have to cut them off completely, but you do have the right to protect your peace. Have a checkmark. 3. Lead with compassion, but don't carry their pain. When people lash out, they are often hurting inside. Seedling compassion means understanding their pain. No entrecine, but it does not mean accepting their mistreatment. You can say, "Speech balloon, I see that you're struggling. And I hope you find peace. But I will not be your emotional punching bag. Have a checkmark 4. Remember, you do not have to dim your light. Some people want you to shrink so they feel bigger. Some people want you to struggle so they don't feel alone in their misery. Don't let them pull you down. Glowing star, keep shining. Glowing star, keep growing. Glowing star, keep living your life fully, without guilt. High voltage sign, the biggest shift, stop carrying burdens that aren't yours. Ask yourself, is their resentment my responsibility? No entry sign, no it is not. No entry sign, you did not cause their pain. No entry sign, you are not responsible for healing wounds they refuse to face. Let them hold on to their negativity. You are free to walk away in peace. Final thought, protect your peace. Not their perceptions. Have a checkmark, you do not need to shrink so others feel comfortable. Have a checkmark, you do not need to apologize for your happiness. Have a checkmark, you do not need to carry their pain, it is theirs to heal. So next time someone projects their negativity onto you, smile and remember the Buddha's lesson. Speech balloon, I do not accept this gift. It remains yours, not mine. Let them keep their anger, while you keep your peace. Have you ever been blamed for someone else's struggles? Comment peace below and share your experience. And if you're finding these insights valuable, subscribe for more wisdom on self-growth, mindfulness, and emotional resilience. Now, let's move to the next reason why people secretly pull away as you grow older. 6. Lack of empathy and understanding. When people stop seeing your struggles. Have you ever felt like people no longer see you as a full person, as if your emotions, struggles, and experiences are somehow less important now that you're older? Have a checkmark, maybe your opinions are dismissed, as if they no longer matter. Have a checkmark, maybe your pain is ignored, as if aging means you should just deal with it. Have a checkmark, maybe the younger generation rushes through life, never pausing to ask how you truly feel. And the most painful part, broken heart, you still have the same depth of emotions, the same need for connection, and the same desire to be heard. But instead of empathy, you're met with impatience, indifference, or even condescension. Why does this happen? Because people often assume that as you age, you become less relevant in their world. Your struggles are not as important as theirs. You are somehow used to being overlooked. But here's the truth. Seedling, you deserve to be seen, heard, and valued just as much as anyone else. Open book, a Buddhist story, The Elephant and the Blind Men. One day, a wise king brought an elephant into his palace and invited a group of blind men to touch it. Each man touched only one part of the elephant. One felt the trunk and said, "An elephant is like a snake." One touched its leg and said, "No, an elephant is like a tree." One felt its ear and said, "You are both wrong, an elephant is like a fan." They argued endlessly, each believing his perspective was the whole truth. But the king laughed and said, "You each touched only a small part of the elephant. The full truth is bigger than what any one of you can see." The lesson: people see only a small part of your life. Most people only see what they want to see. Have a check mark. They see that you've lived a long life, but they don't see the challenges you still face. Have a check mark. They see your age, but they don't see your wisdom, emotions, and inner world. Have a check mark. They see their own struggles, but they don't realize you have struggles too. Their lack of empathy is not your failure, it is their blindness. Hammer and wrench. How to handle people who lack empathy. Have a check mark. 1. Speak up about your needs, gently, but firmly. Many people don't ignore you on purpose, they are simply distracted by their own lives. Speech balloon. Instead of suffering in silence, say, White pointing back hand index, I know you're busy, but I'd love to share something important with you. White pointing back hand index, I still have dreams, feelings, and thoughts that matter. Your voice deserves to be heard. Have a check mark. 2. Find people who genuinely listen. Not everyone is capable of deep empathy. Seedling. Some will always be too self-absorbed. Seedling. Some will only listen when they need something from you. Instead of chasing validation from those who won't give it, focus on building connections with those who truly see you. Have a check mark. 3. Lead with compassion, but set boundaries. When someone dismisses your feelings, it's easy to feel no entry sign angry, no entry sign hurt, no entry sign frustrated. But remember, seedling, they may not understand your struggles because they haven't lived them yet. Instead of getting upset, educate them, but if they still don't listen, protect your peace by limiting how much energy you give them. Have a check mark. 4. Be your own source of validation. If the world fails to recognize your worth, then recognize it yourself. Write down your experiences and wisdom. Engage in activities that make you feel alive. Surround yourself with those who appreciate you, not just tolerate you. Your self-worth should never depend on how others treat you. High voltage sign. The biggest shift, stop waiting for others to acknowledge you. Ask yourself, am I seeking validation from the wrong people? Rocket. You do not need their permission to feel valued. Rocket. You do not need their attention to live a full life. Rocket. You do not need their empathy to know your worth. Final thought, your life matters, no matter who acknowledges it. Have a check mark. Your emotions are valid, even if others ignore them. Have a check mark. Your struggles deserve respect, even if others don't see them. Have a check mark. Your presence is valuable, even if others fail to appreciate it. So next time someone overlooks your feelings, remember, speech balloon, their blindness does not define my worth. You are still here. You are still growing. And you still deserve to be seen. Have you ever felt overlooked or unheard? Comment, I matter, below and share your thoughts. And if you're finding these insights valuable, subscribe for more wisdom on self-growth, mindfulness, and emotional resilience. Now, let's move to the next reason why people secretly pull away as you grow older. 7. Competitiveness and rivalry, when friends and family see you as competition. Have you ever noticed how some people, even those closest to you, start treating you differently when you achieve success or find happiness? Have a check mark. Maybe a friend distances themselves when you reach a milestone they haven't. Have a check mark. Maybe a sibling or cousin downplays your achievements, as if they don't matter. Heavy checkmark. Maybe even your own children or younger relatives act resentful instead of proud. It's painful when people you once celebrated fail to celebrate you in return. But here's the truth. Seedling, not everyone wants you to win. Seedling, some people measure their own worth by how they compare to others. Seedling, and when your success reminds them of their struggles, they pull away. This is the hidden reality of aging. Electric light bulb. As you grow, you will outgrow certain relationships. Electric light bulb, not because you changed, but because they can't handle seeing you rise. Open book. A Buddhist story, the two seeds. Two seeds lay side by side in the soil. One seed said, "I want to grow. I want my roots to go deep, my branches to reach the sky, and my flowers to bloom brightly." And so, it began to grow. The second seed hesitated. "What if I grow too tall and the wind knocks me down? What if my flowers attract insects? I'd rather stay safe underground." Over time, the first seed grew into a tall, beautiful tree. Birds rested in its branches. People admired its shade, and it stood strong. The second seed remained buried in fear, never sprouting. And when it saw the first seed thriving, it whispered bitterly, "You've left me behind." The lesson: some people stay stuck and resent those who grow. Many people, instead of growing themselves, stay in the same place. And when they see you moving forward, they feel heavy checkmark. Insecure. They compare themselves to you and feel like they're falling behind. Heavy checkmark. Jealous. They wish they had what you've worked for. Heavy checkmark. Resentful. They feel like life is unfair and blame you for their own choices. And so, instead of cheering for you, they no entry sign distance themselves. No entry sign downplay your success. No entry sign turn small rivalries into lifelong resentment. But here's what you must understand. Their emotions are their burden, not yours. Hammer and wrench. How to handle people who see you as competition. Heavy checkmark 1. Stop shrinking yourself to make others comfortable. Some people only like you when you are struggling, because it makes them feel better about their own lives. Electric light bulb. Never dim your light just to keep insecure people happy. Heavy checkmark 2. Celebrate their success, even if they don't celebrate yours. If someone achieves something, genuinely congratulate them. Speech balloon. I'm happy for you. Speech balloon. That's a great accomplishment. Your kindness is a reflection of your character, even if they can't do the same for you. Heavy checkmark 3. Set boundaries with people who compete instead of support. If someone is constantly trying to one-up you instead of appreciating your friendship, step back. Seedling. A real friendship is built on support, not rivalry. Heavy checkmark 4. Recognize that not everyone will be happy for you, and that's okay. No entry sign. Some people will always find reasons to downplay your wins. No entry sign. Some will pretend they don't notice your happiness. No entry sign. Some will make passive-aggressive remarks instead of celebrating you. Let them. Their reactions do not define your worth. High voltage sign. The biggest shift: your success is not a threat unless they see it that way. Ask yourself, should I keep lowering myself so others don't feel left behind? Rocket. No. Keep growing. Rocket, keep shining. Rocket, keep achieving. Those who truly care for you will celebrate with you. Those who don't were never truly in your corner. Final thought, the right people will always cheer for you. Have a checkmark, you deserve to be happy, without guilt. Have a checkmark, you deserve to succeed, without fear of judgment. Have a checkmark, you deserve to grow, without apologizing for it. So next time someone competes with you instead of celebrating you, remember, speech balloon, their insecurity is not my responsibility. Have you ever lost friendships because of hidden rivalry? Comment, keep growing, below and share your thoughts. And if you're finding these insights valuable, subscribe for more wisdom on self-growth, mindfulness, and emotional resilience. Now, let's move to the next reason why people secretly pull away as you grow older. 8. The influence of social expectations, when others want you to act your age. Have you ever been told, have a checkmark, you're too old for that? Have a checkmark, why don't you just settle down and slow down? Have a checkmark, that's not appropriate for someone your age. Society has a way of putting invisible chains on people as they grow older. They expect you to be quieter, slower, and less adventurous. They expect you to fade into the background instead of stepping into new opportunities. They expect you to conform to their idea of what aging should look like. But let me ask you, who made these rules? Because here's the truth. Seedling aging is not a prison sentence. Seedling, you don't have to stop living just because others think you should. Seedling, you have the right to redefine what life looks like at any age. The real question is, are you living for yourself? Or are you still living to please others? Open book, a Buddhist story, the old monk and the dancing youth. One day, a group of young villagers was playing music and dancing by the river. An elderly monk walked by and watched them with curiosity. A younger monk, standing beside him, shook his head disapprovingly. They are wasting their time with foolishness, he said. At their age, they should be more disciplined. The old monk smiled and asked, and when should they dance? The younger monk was silent. The old monk continued, is there a rule that says joy must stop when we reach a certain age? Should we only dance when we are young and sit in silence for the rest of our lives? The young monk thought for a moment and then laughed, realizing the wisdom in the old monk's words. The lesson, you do not have to shrink because society expects you to. Some people believe that aging means stepping back, doing less, and being less. But the truth is, have a checkmark, you can still travel, dream, and explore. Have a checkmark, you can still learn new things, start new hobbies, and follow your passions. Have a checkmark, you can still find love, happiness, and adventure. The only limit is what you allow yourself to believe. Hammer and wrench, how to break free from society's expectations. Have a checkmark 1. Ignore the rules that don't serve you. No entry sign who says you can't start a new career, learn a new skill, or pursue a new passion. No entry sign who says you have to dress, act, or behave a certain way because of your age. Seedling, your life is yours. Live it fully. Have a checkmark 2. Challenge people's assumptions with action. Instead of arguing with people who think you should slow down, show them what's possible. Want to learn how to dance? Do it. Want to start a business? Go for it. Want to take up a new sport? Try it. Your actions will inspire others far more than your words ever could. Have a checkmark 3. Surround yourself with people who support your growth. Not everyone will understand your journey. Some people will judge, discourage, or try to limit you because of their own fears. But you don't have to live under their limitations. Seedling, find friends, mentors, and communities that encourage your curiosity, passion, and adventure. Have a checkmark 4. Redefine what aging means for yourself. Electric light bulb who says aging is about slowing down. Electric light bulb, why not see it as a time of growth, wisdom, and expansion? Electric light bulb, why not embrace it as an opportunity to live more fully than ever before? You get to decide what aging means for you, not society. High voltage sign, the biggest shift. You are not here to please others, you are here to live fully. Ask yourself, have I been holding myself back because of what others think? Rocket, it's time to stop asking for permission to live. Rocket, it's time to embrace the things that bring you joy. Rocket, it's time to be unapologetically yourself. Final thought, life has no expiration date. Have a checkmark, you are never too old to start something new. Have a checkmark, you are never too late to chase a dream. Have a checkmark, you are never past the point of finding joy, love, and adventure. So next time someone tells you to act your age, smile and say, speech balloon, I am acting my age. And at my age, I choose happiness. Have you ever felt pressured to slow down because of your age? Comment, live fully, below and share your thoughts. And if you're finding these insights valuable, subscribe for more wisdom on self-growth, mindfulness, and emotional resilience. Now, let's move to the final reason why people secretly pull away as you grow older. 9. The lack of recognition, when your contributions are overlooked. Have you ever felt like everything you've done for others is forgotten? Have a checkmark, you spent years sacrificing for your family, but now they barely acknowledge it. Have a checkmark, you worked hard to build a life for yourself and others, but your efforts seem invisible. Have a checkmark, you once played an important role in your community, but now you feel like you've faded into the background. It's painful, isn't it? To give so much and receive so little recognition in return. But here's the truth you need to hear today. Electric light bulb, your worth is not measured by how much others appreciate you. Electric light bulb, your value does not disappear just because others stop noticing. Electric light bulb, and most importantly, you do not need anyone's recognition to know your own greatness. Open book, a Buddhist story, the unseen candle. A young disciple once asked the Buddha, Master, I have given kindness to many, yet no one thanks me. Why should I keep giving? The Buddha smiled and lit a candle. Does this candle complain when it gives its flame to another? No. It continues to shine, whether others notice or not. Just like the candle, your light is not diminished by giving. The sun does not ask for gratitude. It simply shines because that is its nature. The disciple understood. The lesson: you do not need recognition to be valuable. The truth is, many people have a checkmark take kindness for granted until it's gone. Have a checkmark forget what you've done because they are too focused on their own lives. Have a checkmark fail to say thank you, not because you don't deserve it, but because they assume you'll always be there. But just because others fail to recognize you doesn't mean your contributions were in vain. Seedling your impact exists, whether they acknowledge it or not. Seedling your kindness, your wisdom, your sacrifices, they all matter. Seedling, you are not forgotten, your influence lives on in the lives you've touched. Hammer and wrench how to find peace even when others don't recognize you. Have a checkmark 1. Shift from seeking recognition to self-appreciation. Instead of waiting for others to say, thank you, say it to yourself. Speech balloon, I am proud of the love I have given. Speech balloon, I am proud of the sacrifices I made. Speech balloon, I do not need applause to know my worth. Have a checkmark 2. Document your legacy. Your life is full of stories, wisdom, and experiences that deserve to be remembered. Open book, write a journal. Camera with flash, capture memories. Microphone, share your wisdom with those who are willing to listen. Even if others don't acknowledge you today, your story will live on. Have a checkmark 3. Find new ways to feel fulfilled. If you feel invisible in one area of life, create new meaning elsewhere. Volunteer and share your knowledge. Start a new hobby or passion project. Build new relationships where you feel valued. You are not just your past roles, you can create new meaning at any stage of life. Have a checkmark 4. Accept that not everyone will understand your sacrifices. Some people will never fully appreciate what you've done, and that's okay. Herb, give without expecting. Herb, love without needing validation. Herb, live without waiting for permission to be proud of yourself. High voltage sign, the biggest shift, you do not need others to validate your journey. Ask yourself, why do I need their recognition to feel worthy? Rocket, you don't. Rocket, your life has value, no matter who notices. Rocket, your kindness, your wisdom, your efforts, they have shaped the world in ways you may never fully see. Final thought, you are seen, even if others forget to look. Have a checkmark, you are more than what others remember. Have a checkmark, you are more than the gratitude you receive. Have a checkmark, you are more than the recognition you are given. So next time you feel overlooked, remind yourself. Speech balloon, I do not need their acknowledgement. I see myself. I honor myself. And that is enough. Your legacy is not in their words, it is in the lives you've touched. Have you ever felt unappreciated? Comment, I see myself, below and share your thoughts. And if you're finding these insights valuable, subscribe for more wisdom on self-growth, mindfulness, and emotional resilience. Seedling, remember, you are seen, you are valued, and you are enough. Sparkles, this concludes the series on why people secretly pull away as you grow older. Sparkles, if this journey resonated with you, let me know in the comments. Electric light bulb, which lesson impacted you the most? Electric light bulb, what is one thing you will take away from this? And always remember, Aging is not a decline, it is a deeper awakening to your true self. Thank you for being here. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Person with praying hands sparkles.